Okay, the January transfer window is over, and as a Manchester United fan, how excited are you or happy are you with your spending this January? Because a club like Manchester City spent 180 million this January. 180 million. So I don't know what the board told Amorim. Is it that they promised him that they were going to spend for him in January, or we don't know what they told him that convinced him to leave Sporting Lisbon to Manchester United. Now look at the January transfer window is over. They got rid of the likes of Rashford, and I heard that this guy is going to PSV. Tyro Malacia, Rashford, Malacia,
Yes, on loan.
Anthony, and others. And we're expecting Tell to join Manchester United. Unfortunately, Tell has moved to what's it called? To Tottenham. And Tottenham has an
Us.
option to buy him for 45 million. So I don't know. Do you think Amorim will be excited with the board, or what do you think Amorim is feeling right now?
I think Ruben will be having a sort of a mixed feeling during the course of the January transfer window. Even though it has been established that the club are wary of the PSR and financial fair play. That has been made known from the very beginning, and that is why before incomings could actually come, they had to allow some players go out on loan, just like Anthony. I think in the case of Anthony, if you look at the way the deal was being carved out, you find out that Real Betis is actually paying most of his salary. I think Manchester United, out of the 220 something thousand K he earns per week, Manchester United are just paying 32,000, while Real Betis cover majority of the salary. And I think the same scenario also played out with Marcus Rashford when he signed for Villa as well. Aston Villa, I think Aston Villa, the deal has to do with like 70% as well, or 75 thereabouts. And the deal is also set to increase with related performances. That is to say, if Marcus Rashford performs well, it increases from that 75% to about 80, 85 thereabouts. With Manchester United just paying a meager sum of the player's salary. So I think the PSR was really the major issue. And unfortunately, Amorim has also promised his former club that he's not going to poach any of their players until the summer. And I feel that's a promise that he intends to keep. Looking at his style of play, I think is most certain that in the summer we'll see some players from Sporting Lisbon actually coming to the Manchester United team because they know what the manager wants and they can adapt to his style of play. So I think it's just a mixed feeling for Ruben, this January transfer window.
Why are coaches of Manchester United going to their former club for players? Is it that they can't coach or teach these players how to play the way they want them to play? Jurgen Klopp didn't go for his former players at Dortmund. He signed players and taught them. Okay, this is how I want you guys to play, and they were able to execute it. He won the league, won the Champions League, won FA Cups, and the rest. But why are our coaches going for former players? Is it that without your former players you cannot or teach new players anything? Then that means we should even question your coaching batch. Are you a good coach?
Not entirely true, but you agree with me that Ruben's style of play is a complex one, and it's not really a formation that is really popular with most coaches. I think the only person that I've seen also adopt his pattern, that same formation, was the Crystal Palace coach, which is Glasner, in the last game that they played. They played also the same kind of similar formation that Ruben actually carved out for his side. So you find out that Ruben's style of play, because it requires your wing backs being quick, being agile. Yeah, something trying to say, and go when it's time to attack. They attack, and when it's time to defend, they defend. So it's a really complex. It's a really complex formation, and it's only a few players that are actually suited to that style of play. You find that some people like, Garnacho right now, it's very difficult to actually establish, his position now under the new coach, because the number to operate him into, it doesn't really suit him. He is more of like, a winger in a 4-2-3 formation, or a 4-3-3 formation, or a 5-4-1 formation. But the 3-4-2-1 formation doesn't really suit him well. So I think for Ruben's case, it can still be defended a little bit, even though I feel by the time he gets the sort of players he wants during the summer, and we see the kind of game that they play at the end of the day, we should be able to tell if he's really an ideal coach, or all his complaints have just been a fluke all this while.
So let me ask you a personal question. Do you trust the Ineos? What you're saying, do you trust them?
To an extent. The only positive I can draw out from the Ineos master plan is that, okay, they are beginning to poach young prospects, people that can after giving them time to maybe play with the under 21s, yes, and gain some little valuable experience, they integrate them into the first team, which is a welcome idea. I think it's what has made Barcelona great, for almost a century now. You find out that but Barcelona as a team will just maybe get one or two players from outside, their famous La Masia Academy, and playing under Hansi Flick, are mostly products from the academy, and they are doing well. So I think that's a similar pattern the Ineos group are actually trying to follow. And I think for so far so good. That's the positive. One of the positives I can draw out from the group. Then secondly, I think in terms of management, I give kudos to them. Even though I know that, yes, I think it's time they begin to realize that Manchester United, is a great club, and apart from the financial management, they should also aim high, look at their noisy neighbors, in Manchester City, going for
if Manchester City can spend 180 million in January alone, just imagine how much they'll spend in the summer for their coach. But this year, you brought in a new coach to play with your former coach players. He doesn't really, these players don't really understand his tactics. Okay, you've not really brought players for him, and you let players go, making him believe that you guys are going to bring players for him. And you guys didn't bring anybody. You only brought Dogu and the other Heaven guy. And you still want us to trust these guys?
In Heaven.
Oh, I don't.
Well, I'm not really writing
a second thoughts now. He'll be like, did I make the right move? Did I make, or I should just have stayed. You said you maybe in his mind now he'll be like, maybe I should just have stayed at Sporting Lisbon. Maybe. So I was asking. I said, do you think Amorim now will be thinking like, okay, did I make the right move or the wrong move? Are these guys going to do as they promised? What do you think is going?
I feel
because
I feel Ruben has been.
If your City rivals can spend 180 million, and your own owners ended up releasing your attackers without bringing in new attackers for you, even the tell that was promised or tell that you were expecting didn't come. So what do you think is going through his mind now? Because in my opinion, I feel that guy is sad. That guy
in the case of Ruben, I feel the Ineos team and the various directors must have carried him on board with what's happening. Like I rightly said initially, the PSR constraint, and if you look at most of the players that left, he has always complained about the attitude of Marcus Rashford, Anthony. You find that Anthony, even despite giving the opportunity to prove himself, has so far failed to do that. Malaysia that actually just came out of injury, has also been given games to prove himself, and I feel he's not really convinced with his performance. So I feel most of these players going on loan, I'm sure, have, the blessings of Ruben as the coach. And, and I'm sure they must have told him to, see how he can work with, the crop of players he have at his disposal right now. It's also quite unfortunate that, even the two forwards that he have, so far so good are not firing on all cylinders as it stands. So in the long run, yes, he might have. I feel Ruben, surely have mixed feelings. Although yes, he was able to get a wing back, even though this is the Premier League, and we are yet to see the stuff it's really made of. So I think he has mixed feelings, but I think where he feels the management should really turn up would be in the summer, whereby there will really need to be an overhaul, whereby you can have players that suit the style of player and build this team.
You are relying on you are waiting for the summer when you know that Manchester United owners are fond of buying players late.
I feel well. It's yet to see what will happen during the course of the summer because I expect, with the kind of charisma Ruben has, I feel and I'm quite certain that he'll be telling the management, to do, something different this summer because he needs to have his players early so that, they can, go about their preseason training, yes, quite early, and drills and all the other things that he needs to prepare for the season. So I think he will actually want to clamor for the management to ensure that they bring the players that he actually wants quite early, so that in terms of fitness, in terms of tactical drills, style of play and all, they can quickly adapt before the season commences.
What's your final question before we go? Rate your January transfer window over 10. What will you give them?
Okay, well, if I'm to give a rating over 10, I think maybe a 3, because there's no really we could say that yes, there's no really inflow of players into the team. I was expecting, even if Manchester United were not really going to pay transfer fees for players, at least with the wages of players like Anthony and Rashford being slashed drastically. I was expecting that we should see some incomings, maybe via the pathway of loans, to see how they can bolster the team and help the team during the course of the remaining season.
All right, John. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you next time.
All right, thank you. Have a nice day.